What's up? I'm back. This is the first part of the physical geography of Russia PowerPoint quiz to follow, and there'll be two other PowerPoints on Chapter 15. So watch them, learn them, love them. It's good stuff. Section 1, Landforms and Resources. Russia and the republics occupy about 3 times the land area of the United States, span 2 continents and 11 time zones. Very, very large piece of land we're talking about here. It's 1/6 of the Earth's land surface, so it's a very massive place when we're talking about Russia and the republics. The regions are divided into 4 areas: Northern European Plain, Western Siberian Plain, Central Siberian Plateau, and Russia Far East. About the North European Plain, stretches over 1,000 miles from the western border to the Ural Mountains, contains the very fertile soil Chernozem, or black earth, and because it has so much of this and it's so fertile, it's a very large area as far as people settling there. The population is very, very thick in that part of the world. 75% of the region's 290 million people live on the Northern European Plain. It is no coincidence that they also have the most fertile area at that point, at that location. The biggest cities of the area, of the region, Moscow, St. Petersburg, and then Kyiv in Ukraine are all in the North European Plain. And here's a picture of the Chernozem. West Siberian Plain, separated from the North European Plain by the Ural Mountains, or the Ural Mountains is the dividing line between Europe and Asia. Those that recognize it, some don't, and just say it's one large continent called Eurasia if you combine Europe and Asia together. The plain lies between the Urals and the Yenisei River, between the shores of the Arctic Ocean and the foothills of the Adelaide Mountains. And here's a picture of the Ural Mountains. Good stuff. Central Siberian Plateau and the Russian Far East. Uplands and mountains are dominant landforms in these two areas. Okay, the two big things. You're either elevated because of mountains or you're very high plateaus. The Central Siberian Plateaus are made up of high plateaus that average at least 1,000 to 2,000 feet, so they're pretty good sized plateaus. The plateau, the big one, Central Siberian, lies between the Yenisei rivers and the Lena River. So this part of the country, big in the mountains, big in the uplands. The Russian Far East is a complex system of volcanic ranges. So we have tons of volcanoes in the Far East. If you're looking at the map, way to the right of it, you got volcanoes, and you get your plateaus, and you get back to the Siberian Plains and plateaus, and then you work ourselves to the Western Siberian Plain and to the North European Plain, if you're going right to left in Russia. The Kamchatka Peninsula contains 120 volcanoes, 20 of which are still active to this day. And here's a picture of the peninsula on the right in the map, and then one of the active volcanoes right there. Southern landforms. The Caucasus Mountains. They separate the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, and it's the border between Russia and Transcaucasia. Countries like Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Georgia all make up this area. Mountains along the southern border of Russia and the republics includes the Tianshan, which is Chinese for Heavenly Mountains. And you got the other areas in Central Asia, Kazakhstan, Rajasthan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, all the stands in Central Asia. Very high mountains block moisture from entering the region and contribute to a very arid climate down in the southern part. Basically, if you look at Russia, you have mountains or some kind of elevated piece of land to the south, to the west, to the east, which allows for that cold air to kind of keep circling down from the Arctic Ocean. Taran Plain lies between the Caspian Sea and the mountains of Central Asia, and there's 2 very dry deserts in the southern part of Russia, Karakum and the Kaiserkum. And here's a picture of the Tianshan, Heavenly Mountains. Rivers and lakes. The region's rivers flow through the large drainage basins, and they head out to the specific areas that are labeled right there. The Arctic Basin is the largest, with the 3 main rivers, the Ob, the Yenisei, and the Lena. The Caspian Sea is the largest saltwater lake, nearly 750 miles from north to south, so it's a pretty good sized lake there. The Aral Sea, also saltwater, very important part of the area, but has lost 80% of its water volume since the 1960s because of irrigation projects in the southern parts. You can see pictures of the Caspian in the aerial. Lake Baikal, or Baikal, however you want to say it. It's the deepest lake in the world. Okay, more than a mile from surface to bottom, stretches nearly 400 miles from north to south, holds 20% of the world's fresh water, and thousands of species and plants of animals that are specific to that lake. And as you picture a map right there of the lake. You can see on the right hand side of the map over here the depth, how much deeper it is in the Superior and Lake Erie over here in North America. Resources of the region, there's a great wealth of natural resources. Tons of coal, iron ore, other metals. It's also a leading producer of oil and natural gas, mostly from the Caspian Sea. There's a big debate around the Caspian Sea about who should get what volume of oil. They have vast forests that hold 1/5 of the world's timber, and powerful regions to help ignite the hydroelectricity. Resource management, rugged terrain, harsh climates, vast distances make it difficult to remove these resources from the ground. So they have a lot of things they could use for different economic things, businesses, whatever. They just don't have the ability to pull them out of the ground, or the desire to stay in Siberia where it's freezing all the time. Stay there and get all this natural resources out. Like a lot of other areas, and we have environmental problems here, damage from mining and hydroelectric plants. If you watched the video on Lake Baikal, it talks about cellulose plants putting pollution into the lake. So it exists everywhere. They have to try to find a balance between keeping the environment like it's supposed to be, and also, achieving economic growth. There's a very tough balance to get. So that's it. Chapter 15, Physical Geo of Russia and the Republics. Hope you dig it. Chernozem, big time fertile soil, allows people to settle in that area because a lot of them are farmers, and because of that, the highest part of the population, or the biggest population density in Russia and the Republics, is out there to the left-hand side, the western side, on the North European plain. Thank you and good night.